Welcome back here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. It is just 16th of March and the maximum temperature in several cities across the country has crossed 40 degrees Celsius. Today, Akola in Maharashtra reported 42.9 degrees Celsius. Barmer in Rajasthan also saw day temperature rising to 42.9 degrees Celsius, followed by Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar in Gujarat recording over 41 degrees as the maximum temperature today. The situation in Mumbai is no different. In fact, Mumbaikars have also been battling heat waves since last few days. Today, the mercury settled at 37.5 degrees in Mumbai as heat wave conditions prevailed over Konkan region. Is it normal for Mumbai to have temperatures touching 40 degrees in the month of March? Is this heat unusual for the month of March? Is it the impact of climate change? That's going to be our focus on Urban Debate this evening. Joining us on the broadcast is Avantika Goswami, Deputy Program Manager, Climate Change and Renewable Energy, CSC. Also joining us is Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, Senior Advisor and former Head Climate Change Program, Department of Science and Technology. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Avantika Goswami, I want to begin the discussion with you. Firstly, it's just the month of March. It's 16th of March today. Temperatures in most parts of country has crossed 40 degrees Celsius. But for Mumbai specifically, it touched about 40 degrees a couple of days ago. Today, the situation was slightly better. Is this heat wave normal in March in Mumbai? Or is it the impact of climate change that we have started witnessing?
So first of all, good evening, and thanks for including me in this discussion. I think speaking of rising temperatures in general, temperatures rising in the month of March are not unusual or uncommon for the Maharashtra region. But what is important to note is the trend that is being observed over the past few decades. So not only have a number of scientific studies been conducted, but recently the Maharashtra Ministry has conducted a vulnerability assessment of the Mumbai region. And it's been found that over the past 47 years or so, a number of heat waves have occurred in the Mumbai region, but 7 out of 12 heat waves have occurred. 7 of these have occurred just in the past few years. So the frequency and intensity of heat waves is rising. So that part is definitely abnormal. And this has links, of course, to multiple things. Definitely climate change. Climate change, it's kind of heating our global atmosphere, our surfaces, and making heat waves more frequent, more intense. But additionally, for Mumbai, urbanization, particularly the urban heat island effect, is making the problem much worse. Yes, it's leading to, from one perspective, abnormal conditions of temperatures in Mumbai. Yes.
Okay, Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, how will you like to respond to the situation that we are witnessing in Mumbai? Is this heat wave sort of a situation that we are seeing in the month of March, temperatures close to 40 degrees Celsius, normal? Could you just unmute yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can. Go ahead.
Okay. So, let me try to put things now in the more like a holistic picture. So, one aspect of the heat wave is that, let me say that it's not very usual for Maharashtra to get heat wave in this time. Traditionally, the heat wave is, over the area like Northwest India, Central India, and part of the East India and all. Maharashtra generally used to get heat wave only in the peak of the summer, not now. So there are several reasons. One, Avantika mentioned very rightly that it is the, temperatures are rising because of the, global warming. But there are two other issues that need to be, considered as part of the totality of the issue. One is, of course, Avantika mentioned about the how the local heat change because of the high population density, urbanization, and several human activity. The temperature heat islands are building in the entire. In fact, Mumbai, you have large number of heat islands, and they are the intensity of 4 to 5 degrees centigrade. But that is one part of the story. The other story is that climate change in general is impacting the extreme weather events. And they are in terms of all events, heavy rainfall, strong, storms, and then the heat wave is one, which is, so it's the duration, frequency, and intensity, all are changing. And extent over the entire country now is having heat wave, almost entire country. Plus, there's one angle that today's situation in Mumbai and other part of the Maharashtra, which is adding to this heat climate change, is because there is a weather condition where the winds are blowing from north to south, from Gujarat and Rajasthan area. The winds are coming down to Maharashtra, and which are dry and hot winds, and they are rising the temperature to this situation is not improving in the forecast for the next 5 days at least. And therefore, the situation today is largely attributed to the weather circulation and less to the climate change. Climate change is already there, but they're all in the background. The intensity of heat wave is because of the wind condition that we have from the north.
But Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, like Avantika was telling us earlier, that the frequency of heat waves that we are seeing in parts of Mumbai, in parts of Maharashtra, seems to be increasing. So while what is happening in 2022 March largely could be because of the current weather condition, but then there is a impact of climate change that's also there, because I was just looking at some data. Since 2011, the maximum temperature has crossed 40-degree mark at least 5 times. So, the frequency of heat wave going up, don't you think it's a cause of huge concern? Can something be done?
Yeah, so that's exactly the point. So let me try to explain. So when you have the temperature, normal temperature getting risen by, say, 1 degree centigrade or 2 degrees centigrade, along with that change, the extremes are increasing. So that means you have more frequency, you have more intensity, you have longer duration. This is entirely because of the climate change impact. And this, the only way that we can mitigate this is that we must work at the city level. Urban climates are going to be the dominant factor in the future, and this is going to be much more intense in future. Therefore, I think local governments need to work to mitigate this kind of impact, and also the impact that these changes are going to make on the health of the people. The extreme heat is going to impact the first thing, that dehydration, the people going out in the sun, they will have impact. Also, the children we are going to impact. People who are working outside, the laborers, the kind of people who had to go out for their livelihood in the out, they're all going to get. So therefore, the role of local governments and municipal corporation, and also the disaster managers, they need to work together to create an early warning system so that people get warned of such kind of thing and they take enough precaution.
I think that's a very interesting point you're making, Avantika Goswami. Like, ahead of a cyclone, there is an early warning system that kicks in and people are told what to do and what not to do as the cyclone is intensifying. Similar sort of warnings come when there is a high tide kind of a situation or heavy rainfall is expected to happen. So do you think, apart from, the big plans to deal with climate change that governments are working on, especially the government of Maharashtra, the way it is focusing on this issue, probably what Dr. Gupta mentioned can be done as well to at least protect the people?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think awareness and warnings on, the health front, we are becoming more advanced on those, early warning systems, and also in terms of providing health advisories to citizens. Of course, this must be ramped up significantly. There's conclusive evidence that as average temperatures continue to rise, as heat waves become more frequent, more intense, the productive hours of work that the labor force can produce will continue decreasing, because simply because heat stress will make conditions for work almost impossible. So given the fact that so much of our workforce is engaged in labor that is either outdoors or is involved in exposure to the elements, labor productivity can be impacted. So definitely for those vulnerable groups of our working class particularly, better education and awareness is absolutely required. One thing that's important to note, particularly in the case of regions like Mumbai, and the recent report by the IPCC mentioned this as well. There's a concept called wet bulb temperatures. So regions that, along with high temperatures, also have high humidity. There's a composite indicator known as a wet bulb temperature that displays the effect that humidity has on already high temperatures. So awareness on this issue needs to increase significantly, because Mumbai has average humidity levels of almost 60%. So something like a normal 35 degrees Celsius of regular temperature, when combined with 60% humidity, can make temperatures overall feel much higher than they actually are. And the resulting heat stress on individuals is absolutely devastating. So I think awareness of issues like this for regions like Mumbai, which are coastal cities, which have already, as we mentioned, as Dr. Gupta also mentioned, the urban heat island effect. I think all of these conditions need to be taken into account, and specific advisory is required, particularly to sections of our population who are the most exposed to elements.
I think that's a very, very important suggestion that you both have given. I appreciate both of you, Dr. Akhilesh Gupta as well as Avantika Goswami, for joining us here on this very important discussion on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Let's